We've been talking about the quality of the touch all weekend. So this time I wanted to talk about the rotation on the elbow hand on your Ikkyo. Okay? What that actually feels like. Because most people you train with grab this sucker and try and, let me do it. And if you actually, we talked about the whole idea of staying on the surface, that your power is really going around, not at. And definitely, if I grab this and get down on that muscular skeletal level, don't even without you resisting it. Just, that's not going to go. So Tomi Sensei always talked about, oh yes, on the surface, da-da-da-da-da. And nobody had any clue what he was talking about. So I've now figured it out largely. But come in here, get the grip you'd normally get on that elbow for your Ikkyo. And then right now, forget about this hand. Okay? You want to get a feeling that there's almost a waterfall flowing over his arm towards his center. Okay? Without a push on the arm. And so actually, if I would like the fingers to fall, and I'm not going to push down, then something has to be rising. And so as the fingers start to go down, the wrist can rise, and the elbow can rise. And when I say elbow's rising, it's really just the joint opening up. And so you have this feeling of just very relaxed. So what I want to do is static. You don't, initially, if your partner's trying to learn this, do not be crazy grounded. Because if they're trying to figure it out, it's just not going to work for them. Later, you can say, do what you want to resist it. And what I'm going to do, same thing we're talking about, knees are down and underneath them, elbows underneath them. So you see when I move in here, he's getting light. At that point, this is going to start a little stronger. This is going to start to open up. And there's actually energy coming up my spine that's coming over the top here. And when I get to the point where the rotation has put me firmly on top, that's when my knees are ready to bend. And I start dropping on top of them. And I don't know if you can see, but you're not even seeing the gi bunch here. I mean, it's like, watch the fabric. If I were trying to torque this arm, you'd see that. Instead, what you're going to see is almost no movement here at all. Because it's not happening here. What I'm generating here is actually going up and going all the way to him. Okay? So, the only other thing I said is, remember we were talking about what I call the Ikkyo curve, which is behind the head. So, it'll be a mistake if you run it just here, because he's going to block it. This touch is going in there. Then the rotation can flow in here, but it's got to go in behind him a little bit first. You see him shift? I'm in, I'm behind him a little bit, and he's actually starting to be a little light. Then this rotation can happen. He's stronger. Resistance is futile. Okay, give it a try, and if you're having any trouble with it, raise your hand and I'll come around. Sensei, feel free to wander around. Partner, at the same time, don't give it to him. Because the uke has to give feedback to the partner about whether it's really working or not. So, right? He comes out here, and with me, I don't care if he wants to be stupid stiff. So, really ground out. Check your partner. Make sure they're not really wobbly. Good. So, then check and make sure his bad Ikkyo doesn't work on. Ooh, that's like a tree trunk. Damn. So, then, in underneath him, he'll hit the shoulder. Mm-hmm. So I've already caught this shoulder. Everybody see it? Now I'm going to go around behind his head and catch the other shoulder. See him wobble? Now this is ready to start rotating. And as it rotates, look at this. Now, I'm not saying you should actually go down with him, but I'm using my core to do this. So actually, I really still like to be here when this gets here. And once you're here, you're on top of them. The rest of it's just dropping. Okay? When it's, you know how to do this, then you do it in one breath, one motion. It's just like, okay?
Where the hell did that come from?
Not where you were strong, that's the point. As Popkins says they would say, you know, the whole idea is not to contend on this. So I don't want to get into this piece yet, although it's going to do much the same thing. But this elbow hand this is the one when I find when I go around, especially the big strong guys who think they can get away with it, they're horrible at this because they crank the crap out of you. And you know, most people find that annoying enough that they take the ukemi. But if you decided they wanted to put up with a certain amount of discomfort, I'm on 300 pounds. I hope this demonstrates to you the futility of this version of Ikkyo. Because if I can't do it, I know none of you can do it. I'm bouncing off the floor off this guy's structure. So I have to go around. And you hear that sound? We really like that sound. In my dojo, we call that the sound of strength leaving the body. You know, I'm going to hold, I'm going to hold, I'm going to hold. That's what I'm looking for. So, that said, it's probably not good for you to hold your breath like that because your blood pressure is rising and, you know, probably not healthy for you. Systemic guys never make that sound because they never actually build that up. In underneath them. We already did this. There's the shoulders. Different contact point for me, not different. Both of these. In underneath them, you're getting a little light. Around behind the head over to that shoulder. Now, I'll take this out so I can't cheat. And now, this is flowing, just like water flowing over here. And that's going to mean that this has to flex and this has to flex. And now, my spine is changing. Go ahead, be a butthead. Hunker down. There's nothing to hunker down on because I already got him floated. Okay, it's difficult for him. And when it's fast, you don't recover from it. You know, if I went really slowly and he was integrated, he could find a way to probably get a release, and I'd have to start over on it. Okay, but get this slow. And now you don't have to drill the guy, but then what I want you to see if you can do it on the flow. So let him be solid and walk up to him and on the flow, just make that happen. Can I just, because if I can do that, it means I'm no longer having to do the sequence, the 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the sequence stuff, first the elbows and the hara underneath. Then the core rotation, it takes it over to the shoulder. Then the spiral starts here. Okay, that's your 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how you train yourself to do it. If you want kazushi on contact, all of that is basically happening simultaneously as we touch. And so your next check is, can I just go do it? Okay? Give that a try.
You said your spine team.
Yesterday we spent a whole lot of time working on this. Right? Getting it, coming in underneath them, getting them jacked up, using the core. Okay, so I mean this is basic. Certainly, basic Daito is basic Aikido. You know, Bo Sensei did this on the knees. End of every class. That's how important it was. Kokidosa, we call it. Okay? So, reason you do that is because it's in everything. So I want you to see here. Let's see what's a good camera angle. So you're solid there. He grabs. No, watch both of them. So it's as if I'm doing that with him. And if I happen to just have this here, it's a different contact point, but I'm running exactly the same thing with my body that I was to get him up and out. Okay? Now, if we had continued, we didn't do it, but in the Daito-ryu there's the Aiki Age, Aiki Sage. Well, in this technique, okay, the Aiki Age is what gets into here. What's really happening here? It's the Aiki Sage. And so this is going this way, and I'm coming over the top. When we get here, my entire body weight can just drop on them. So after that, it's just knees. Okay? At one point during my class, I said, you should try and get out of the active verb way of thinking of this. The subject-verb object. I am throwing hand. I am doing something to this guy. Because frankly, that entire mindset, the extent to which you are going, I am doing this to him, is exactly proportional to his ability to say, no, you're not. Okay? So look at this. Keep your elbow down on this one. This would be this strike for us. Okay? So it's already a little easier if you flared the elbow. This is harder for me. Okay? So, I'm telling him to be stupid resistant. Like I told you not to do with each other, so he's pushing into me. Look at this. I'm about to bounce off him. So, I can't let that hit me. So as he pushes, I'm coming in and making that. I'm feeding all of this push back underneath him and letting him, the harder he pushes, the lighter he gets. Now I'm taking it across to that shoulder. And he's going to go, no, you're not going to move me. So he's still pushing in. He's still trying to fight it. I'm allowing that energy to turn into a rotation. He's doing that. I am giving it direction. And I'm using various connections in my body to give that resistance a direction. So I'm not doing that. And that's why, I mean, look at this guy. But it shouldn't take more than this. If it takes more than this, maybe I needed strength to do it. But look, okay, fingertips, in behind him, back over, bend of the shoulder. Okay, now be a shithead, push. My fingers will take a certain amount of bend here. If it takes more than that, you're working too hard. That you're trying to still use some level of power on this guy. And you can't power these guys. Look at that. You put an ounce of effort into that, and he has buried you. Okay? So, this time, if you've been having no success with this, then stick with the nice partner. But if you've been having some success with it, ask your partner to start pushing into you. And see how, if you don't resist that, if you just stay flexible, you can actually allow that push to become the rotation that he's throwing himself. He's just touched something that's rotating. It's not really different than the idea of a carousel. If you were at the fair and there's a carousel and it's spinning around and you went up and grabbed it, you are now moving. Okay? Did the carousel throw you? No, it was just moving. It didn't have any intention. It wasn't trying to do anything. It's just moving. I want to be like that. We come up and what he touches is just moving. And so, no matter how hard he touches it, I could even be going backwards. He could be pushing me off my base. Keep pushing. Push me through the wall. Push me through the wall. Push me through the wall. And it's like, I can give way and give that direction. So there's never a point where I want to contend with him. And I'm really allowing his energy to become this rotation. Okay? Rather than, I'm going to torque the crap out of you and throw you on the ground. Which I hope by now you realize doesn't work. This direction can also be this direction. This is highly technical. It's actually embarrassing at this point in my career to understand how difficult I made Aikido for myself during the first 30 years of it. you know, and it's like trying to throw somebody like Charlie Page Sensei from Baltimore, who we used to refer to as The Rock. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it was like we were trying really hard to throw him, and he just kept saying no, and that went on for a quarter century, and, you know, it was clearly not what Sensei was doing, because he had no trouble with him, but we didn't know what Sensei was doing. And now you go, oh, it's that easy? And now you feel stupid. It's like, God. But anyway, it's like riding a bicycle. Riding a bicycle is actually a perfect analogy for a lot of this stuff, because it's something that up until the moment you can do it, it's impossible. You don't halfway ride a bike. So, you know, when you were learning, you remember that your parents would hold the bike and they'd run along with you, and then they'd let go and you'd go woo, and you'd crash into the bushes. And then at some point, they'd, without telling you usually, they'd let go and you'd go woo, woo, and you'd catch it. It's a fascinating thing motor skill-wise, because in the instant when your brain completely reprograms, your proprioception completely changes, and within 10 minutes you can do loop-de-loops in the road and everything, and if you didn't get on a bike again for 15 or 20 years, you can still ride. But up until that instant when the programming went click, it seemed like an impossible task to do. And you're marveling at all the big kids who can do it. Okay? Does that make sense? This stuff's not really different. It's like the moment you really catch it and you start going, oh, that's what it is. Then you go, that was actually kind of easy. Now, there's stuff about this stuff is difficult, but some of this stuff that I used to think was really difficult, it turned out to really be almost simplistically easy. I just had to know what I was supposed to be doing. And then all of a sudden your body starts to, at a certain point when you do enough of the connection work, your body starts to reprogram in those old habits. Your brain starts to go, oh, those were the stupid habits, and it doesn't do them anymore. But you got to test yourself under, you know, various levels of stress. I mean, I'm not at the point where this is so much my default setting that when I go back and I train with some of my 5th, 6th Dan friends and they get ornery with me, my old bad habits don't come out. I can find myself tightening up, pushing back when they push me, and I just go, okay, back to the drawing board. But under non-stressful circumstances, I can make this stuff work now. So, everybody know about the ball, basically the idea of the ball. There's the top of the ball, and your Ikkyo techniques and stuff like that tend to go over the top of the ball. Then there's the bottom of the ball, go around, dice out of your way, at least the way Pop can say. Everything either hits the shoulders or the hips. So the bottom of the ball techniques are generally hitting the hips, and the top of the ball techniques are generally hitting the shoulders. Okay, so this, let's say Kotegaeshi. He threw a punch, I got off the line, I'm here, and I want to break his balance a little bit. Okay? Well, you can push down, but if he doesn't want that to happen, it goes into the feet. But actually, if I push down, he should just let it go, and that opens me up, and he socks me in the face. So clearly pushing down is really not a good alternative in either case. So once again, what I'm going to do is elbow going in underneath him, core's turning, and I'm leading him out a little bit. So it's not that this is, we're talking to somebody the other day, and they're saying, yeah, if I take this out, I overextend, and then he pulls back. But this isn't what goes out. This goes back. Okay? So the problem with doing it here, what if he doesn't pull back? If I do this to lead him out and he actually steps forward with it, he's going to unbalance me because I was pushing it. He went with it. Now step forward and do it. Try and step forward and push me. If he steps forward to push me, he's going to hit that wall right there. If he pulls back, he hits this wall right here. Now, I'm not going to show him he can't move me. I'm just trying to show you, this is what Popkin Sensei was saying, you got to have a solid platform. You can't be all, okay, or they'll knock you off your base. So once I have this, if I want to get some nice kazushi here, I'm going to draw here and take this out. And then instead of rotating this way, I'm actually going to rotate this way and take it this way. Oh, see how I got him a little tipped and twisted? This is helping me not be hit by that hand. Because what he would really like to do is pull that elbow back if he could and throw that punch. And really the big haymaker is really not as efficient as that.
Yeah.
So this is actually my protection against that strike. So if you get all involved in this, they punch you out with the other hand. There's a backflow to his center, so I know what he's doing. Now if he pulls that elbow back to hit me, this is a shorter distance than that. So he's going to take it in the chops long before that punch ever hits me. So this is why you don't want to be strong. I grab this thing. When he moves that elbow, it moves me. I touch it, he moves the elbow, I'll let it go if it's not coming at me. If he pushes into me, it'll keep me safe. You see him pop there? So as he pushes into me, I'm already going out there. So the harder he pushes, the more he goes. He can't get a straight line to knock me off my base. Okay? But if he pulls that away so to hit me, he pulls the strike into him. Then, so now that he knows he's intelligent enough not to try that, now I lead him. And that comes from here. And then I want to get him a little more tilted so that this spiral now happens. So this is now going this way. And if I drop it, I can really get his balance. Now, don't take the fall. Just stick with it. If you had to go down to your knees a little bit, you go down. Because that sets that up for me. Okay? So we'll skip the whole thing of how you managed to get over here without being hit, because that's the subject of the class all by itself. And I want to do that right now. I'm assuming you can get over here without being hit. In underneath him. Around behind him. Then as this movement starts, then this is now capable of creating direction. The hands do not create. I use it here, it's not going to work. Okay? This can only give direction to movement that's already occurring. So the movement's coming from here. And then as that movement starts, this can begin to give that movement direction. I'll let it fall a little bit. Okay? Okay? I think everybody can see that the Kodageisha is there. The Kokunage, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you guys call these techniques, but we have names for them. Okay? So I just want you to get to this position. If he tries to stand up, he should be trying to stand up into your body weight. And if you'd really like him down, you just drop. Crush your enemies, see them flee before you. Normally I wouldn't drop that straight into him, but it's always fun to do. You have him trying to hold you up. So, you see the kokidosa in there? It went up, but then I dropped. So this is actually still going up, and this is still coming in underneath. So why is it falling? Not because I'm pushing with my hands. This is still rising. And as that rises, I'm dropping. So if it looks like the hand's going down with him, it's only because it's following him down. Yamaguchi Sensei, one of the greats, was actually my teacher's original teacher before he became a Nuchideshi and trained with O-Sensei. He started with Yamaguchi Sensei. Yamaguchi Sensei said no technique should take more effort than the natural weight of your arms resting on your partner. So this is just resting on him. So there is a touch, but that's it. After that, it's all the rest of this is core. And then if you want to do the Kodageisha, you could finish with that. Okay, so we've now done this way. This way. And now you can play with it in various places. Okay? So one of my personal favorites, and this, we were talking about this last night, this can be done on their face with their nose. I'm going to let you do the nicer version, which is on their forehead. Training will be much more fun for you this way. But it really works well on the nose because there's almost nobody out there who will push against you if you're doing their nose. I mean, I don't care what they bench press, everybody knows this is fragile. And you don't get the guys going, "Ooh, you can't do this way," not when it's their nose. And Sensei actually we're going to do this spiral, but Sensei actually adds another one that mushes everything. That's really unpleasant because your nose is going. It's really horrible. We're going to skip that one because you're supposed to have a good time at the seminar. But if I was going to take this guy and push him back, see, now he's been really nice. If you didn't want to go, you see the lean happening? He's already preparing. He wants to tuck his chin to protect his throat, and he's going to try and lean into this. Lean into this. You're not really leaning. Look at, you're already back. You need to learn how to be a bigger butthead. There you go. That's getting into the entry grade butthead level. Okay? So remember I was saying the push against me? That's what I'm giving direction. So that push I allowed to be what rises. So push, 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 push. See him going up? Because everything that he pushes here, I'm letting it slide up that plane so he gets lighter. That's this spiral. Then it goes here. When it goes here, that's going to drop down his spine. His butt's going to go out a little more. You see his butt going? I could shoot his butt out that way if I wanted. Okay, so it's going loop-de-doop. Well, this is Aikisage if you're doing the Daiko. Okay? And then Popkin Sensei did that big, beautiful spiral and then just went. Once they get him screwed up, that's all it is. So when you do this in one motion, you come up and you just go. Now I know that you know this is working because it's christened. But I need somebody with some more beef to make it believable. Now make sure you protect your neck and throat by actually leaning into it. Do not let somebody doing this kind of stuff on you break your body into pieces, because you can do that. Aikido people are the only people I know who open their throat up when something comes at their face. Any martial art that I ever did, that got you killed. This is one of the things. Look at any fighting style. They keep that as closed off as possible. Not Aikido people. Oh, it's coming. I don't know where these habits came from. It wasn't where I was trained, but I see it all the time. Do not do that. Keep your neck protected. So if something was coming at your face, you'd actually be trying to set up this arc so that if I was pushing, you'd bury me. So now it has to actually take you up and down. Now, you know how the Japanese have technical names for all of this stuff? They're really cool. They're usually somewhat symbolic, like crane standing in open water and all this cool stuff.
Wind around that.
Yeah, you know what this one is? This is the Benny Hinn.
The Benny Hinn.
Hey! He made shitloads more money doing this than I do.
You're saved.
That was on the nose.
That stings a bit.
Yeah, it really works.
That was the Oral Roberts.
Hey! So, give it a try. Use the forehead. When I was training with Simultaneous Sensei, I was the designated gorilla. Whenever Sensei wanted to show that size didn't matter, guess who got the kind of be really strong. It was like, oh, this is going to be really bad. Brace yourself. Put foot back. Okay. I'm bouncing off him. There's no way I'm pushing a guy like that over. And he's actively pushing against me. I set him up so he was as strong as he could be and was actively pushing over. Remember we talked about Subaru sliding? What's in between pushing and pulling? If it goes this way, it breaks connection. If it goes this way, it hits structure. But right at the point of the touch, there's a plane where the pressure doesn't change at all. It can slide along that plane, and that's the up. And then there's the down. And he's breaking. And you feel this pressure. I mean, unless I'm on your nose grinding it purposely, there's not a lot of pressure here. But you see his whole body go like this? Okay? That's what you're shooting for. You can do it on him, you got it.